Welcome to my channel. I hope you like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet this little hat. It's for baby boys and girls between 0 and 3 months. I made it to match the little sweater and the baby pants that I showed you already in my channel. In the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you the links to those tutorials, and stay tuned. In another tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make the matching baby booties. Now, the little hat, like I said, is for 0 to 3 months, but you can easily make it smaller or bigger from a newborn size and up to an adult size using standard hat size measurements that I'm going to provide you with at the beginning of the tutorial. Now, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop up here on the right hand side and in the information box below. Thank you so much for your support. To make this little hat along with the little sweater and the matching baby pants, this is the yarn that I used. This is DK weight yarn, but you can also use any number 3 yarn or 8 ply. For the 0 to 3 month size baby hat, I used a total of 21 grams, 10 grams in the blue color and 11 grams in white. Depending on the size that you make, you may need less or more. Now let's get started, and thank you so much for watching. To make this little hat for 0 to 3 month size, I'll be using this 3mm crochet hook, and today I'm using this DK weight yarn in white and blue. You can also use any number 3 yarn or 8 ply. Now you can make your hat for any size, any age, and use any yarn weight with any hook size. We're going to be making this hat based on standard size measurements, and the measurements that we're going to need is the width of the crown and the total length. We don't need the head circumference because that is for another type of hat. We're going to make our hat from the crown down, so we're going to need the width of the crown and the total length. So if you want to take a screenshot of this, these are the two measurements that we're going to need. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to make a magic circle. So to do this, just wrap the yarn around both fingers like this, hold it there, and insert your hook through this circle and grab a loop. Now here you're going to chain 2, 1, 2. These 2 chains will never count. Now inside this circle, we're going to make a total of 12 double crochets like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Continue until you have 12 double crochets. I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished making this first row. I have a total of 12 double crochets. Now to close this circle, all you do is just pull this here and that circle is going to close. Now to finish the row, just go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now for the second row, chain 2. Remember, the 2 chains never count. These 2 chains are actually there so that there's no gap between the last and the first double crochet. Now for the second row, we're going to make 2 double crochets on each one of the double crochets like this. So continue all around, just making 2 double crochets. At the end of this second row, I'm going to have a total of 24 double crochets. I'm here at the end of the second row. I have a total of 24 double crochets. To finish, go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now for the third row, chain 2. Now in this row, we're going to make 2, then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 all around. Let me show you. Beginning on top of the first double crochet, which is the same one we joined, make 2 double crochets. Now into the next, make 1. Into the next, make 2. And into the next, make 1 double. And that's how you're going to continue. 2, 1, 2, 1 all around. At the end of this third row, we're going to have 36 double crochets. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the third row. At the end of this row, I have 36 double crochets. To finish, go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now for the fourth row, chain 2. In this row, we're going to make 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1 all around. Let me show you. Beginning into this first double crochet, make 2 double crochets. Now into the next 2 double crochets, make 1. Into the next, make 2. And into the next 2, make 1. And this is how we're going to continue all around. You're going to make 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1 all around. At the end of this fourth row, we're going to have 48 double crochets. I'll meet you at the end of this fourth row. I'm here at the end of the 4th row. At the end of this row, I have 48 double crochets. To finish this 4th row, just go on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now, this here as it is, it's measuring about 8.5 centimeters, which is about, it's almost 3.5 inches. If you were making this for a preemie size, you would have the measurement for the width of the crown, and then all you need to do is just continue with the rest of the hat. For me, I need to make at least one more row. So for the 5th row here, I'm going to chain 2. In this row, I'm going to make 2. Then into the next 3 double crochets, I'm going to make 1. Let me show you. Beginning into the first double crochet, make 2 double crochets. Now into the next 3, make 1 double crochet. Into the next, make 2. And into the next 3, make 1. There, this is how you're going to continue for the rest of this 5th row. You're going to make 2, then 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, all around. At the end of this 5th row, you're going to have 60 double crochets. I finished row 5. At the end of this row, I have 60 double crochets. Here at the end, I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and passed my yarn through that last loop. I'm not going to continue anymore because I already have the measurement that I need for the 0 to 3 month size. I'm going to measure this for you. It's measuring about 11 centimeters, which is about 4.25 inches, which is within the measurements that I need the crown to be for the 0 to 3 month size. So I have this measurement. Now, if you're making this in any other size, you're just going to continue and make this part here bigger. So if you need to make row 6, for row 6 you're going to make 2 double crochets, then 4 double crochets, 2, 4, 2, 4 all around. For row 7 you would make 2 double crochets, then 5 double crochets. So you would continue with 2, 5, 2, 5 all around. For row 8 you would make 2 double crochets and then make 6 double crochets. So 2, 6, 2, 6 all around, and so on until you have the measurement for the width of the crown. Now, we're going to continue here with the total length. For the 0 to 3 month size, it needs to be between these inches, or between 12.5 centimeters to 14 centimeters. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave about an inch, which is about 3 centimeters or 2.5 centimeters for the brim. So here we're going to continue now and start the pattern for the body of the hat. We're going to use the same stitch pattern that I used to make the little pants and the little sweater that I already showed you. So we're going to be using the herringbone stitch. It's a variation of the herringbone stitch. I'm going to join the new yarn here into the same stitch that I joined at the end of row 5 of the crown. So here, bring this loop through and chain 2. If you're not changing yarn color, then just go ahead and chain 2. There, I have 2 chains. Now I'm going to make my first herringbone stitch. I'm going to yarn over, insert the hook into this first stitch. I have 3 loops on the hook. 1, 2, 3. Now take 1 loop off, grab a loop and take 1 loop off, grab a loop and take 2 loops off. Now from here on, these 2 chains will never count as a stitch. Now into the next stitch, make another herringbone stitch. Same thing, grab a loop, take 1 loop off, grab a loop, take 1 loop off, grab a loop, take 2 loops off, yarn over, grab a loop, take 1 loop off, take 1, take 2 off, and so on. If you already did the baby sweater and the baby pants, you are an expert at making this stitch now. So continue like this all around. In the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you the links to those tutorials. I forgot to mention that. And as always, if you prefer written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to that as well in the information box. Thank you so much for your support. So now continue like this all around for row 1 here of the body. I will meet you at the end to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of this first row of the body. I have a total of 60 stitches, not including the 2 chains that I did here at the beginning. These 2 chains are just there so that there's no gap between the last stitch and the first herringbone stitch. Now to finish each row, you're going to go always on top of the first herringbone stitch, not the 2 chains, but the herringbone stitch here at the top, and join with a slip stitch. And this is how I finished this first row. Now for row 2, chain 2 and turn. Now row 2 is going to be worked on the wrong side. In order to work this stitch pattern in the round, you have to turn for every row. So here to begin, I'm going to make my first herringbone stitch of this row into the first herringbone stitch, which is this one here, not this one here that you see. Not this. This here is the slip stitch, so it does not count. So I'm going to go here into this first herringbone stitch there and make my first herringbone stitch. So yarn over, grab a loop, take 1 loop off, grab a loop, take 1 loop off, grab a loop, and take 2 loops off, and so on. This is how you're going to continue all around for this second row. At the end of each row from here on, you're always going to have 60 stitches. Continue like this all around for this second row. I will meet you here at the end to show you once again how to finish and how to start each row from here on, since you're going to continue on your own and work the rest of the little hat. I'm here at the end of the second row. I have 59 stitches up to here. I need to make one last stitch. I'm going to make it right here into this last stitch. This is where the 2 chains are coming out of. Into that same stitch right there, I'm going to make my last herringbone stitch. There, now I have 60 stitches. Now to finish each row from here on, you're going to go on top of the first herringbone stitch, which is this here. Not the 2 chains, but rather the first herringbone stitch right there, and join with a slip stitch. And that's how you're going to finish each row from here on. And to start each row, you always chain 2 and turn. Remember that 2 chains do not count. Now beginning into the first stitch, which is this here, make the first herringbone stitch of this third row. Into the next, same thing. And this is how you're going to continue all around, just making these herringbone stitches in the round. To finish the row, always go on top of the first herringbone stitch, join with a slip stitch, chain 2, turn, and then repeat the same thing. And this is how I'm going to continue for the rest of the body, just repeating that second row until I have the measurement that I need for the 0 to 3 month size, which is between 5 and 5.5 inches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave about 1.5 inches for the brim. So I'm going to stop when I have about 1.5 inches left from the total length. Now I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to do here, but continue watching. I will let you know exactly how many rows I'm going to do, so I will meet you at the end of that row. I finished making the body of the hat. I did a total of 6 rows. So this part here has 6 rows. Row 6 was worked on the wrong side. Now it's measuring from the top of the crown to the end here. It's measuring about 10 centimeters, which is about 4 inches. I still have about 1 to 1.5 inches left from the total length, which is about 2 to 3 centimeters. I'm going to now start making the brim. If you're making your hat for any other size, you're just going to continue and make more rows until you have the measurement that you need for the size that you're making, minus 1 to 1.5 inches so that you can make the brim. So to do the brim here, this is going to be the same for all sizes. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. Now row 1 of the brim is being worked on the right side. So beginning into the first herringbone stitch, make a front post half double crochet. Into the next, a back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet into the next, and so on. This is how I'm going to continue for this first row of the brim, just alternating between front post and back post half double crochets. Continue this row. I'll meet you at the end. I finished making this part of the hat. I did a total of 6 rows. At the end of row 6, I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and pass my yarn through that last loop. I'm going to now start the brim, and I'm going to make the brim in white. Now, this part here, from the top of the crown to the end of row 6, it's measuring about 10 centimeters, which is about 4 inches. Now, I still have about 1.5 inches left from the total length, and I'm going to now start on the brim. If you're making this for any other size, you can leave, I don't know, 2.5 inches, 1 inch, that would be up to you from the total length to make the brim. I don't want my brim to be too wide, so I'm only going to make it about 1.5 inches wide. So here to begin, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here. This is the right side. I'm going to go into the first herringbone stitch. I'm going to use this white yarn, so grab a loop and bring it through. If you're not changing yarn color, then just go ahead and chain 1. Now, beginning here, I chain 1 here. Beginning with this first herringbone stitch, start with a front post half double crochet. Next one, back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet into the next, back post half double crochet into the next, and so on. This is how you're going to continue for this first row of the brim. Now this part here is the same for all sizes. So continue, finish this row. I will meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of row 1 of the brim. Now to finish here, go on top of the first stitch and join with a slip stitch. Now for row 2, you're going to chain 1, and beginning with this first stitch here, make a front post half double crochet. Into the next, back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet into the next, and so on. For this second row, this is how you're going to continue. Just alternate between front post and back post half double crochets. Now to finish the row, you're going to go here to the beginning, join with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then repeat the same thing for row 3. I think I'm going to do 3 rows, but if it's more or less, continue watching. I will let you know exactly how many rows I'm going to do. Here, the important thing is that you have the total length, which is in the size chart that I showed you at the beginning for the size that you're making. Okay, so continue, and I'll meet you at the end of that row. I finished making the brim. I did a total of 3 rows. Here at the end of row 3, I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and pass my yarn through that last loop, and the little hat is all done. And this is how it looks. Now, the total length of this hat is from the top of the crown to the end here. It's measuring exactly 5 inches, which is about 12.5 centimeters. If you want to make more rows here for the brim, you can make more rows and just have a brim that folds like this. Now let's try it on my little model here. Now her head circumference is for 0 to 3 months, so let's see how this fits. It's perfect. It's not too long and it's not too short, so it fits perfect. You can add a pom-pom if you like. I think I'll go ahead and do that after. I already have a tutorial in my channel on how I make my pom-poms, so I'll go ahead and leave you the link to that tutorial in the information box, along with the links to these 2 tutorials, the little sweater and the matching little pants. And as always, if you prefer written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop in the information box as well. Now, as far as yarn for the 0 to 3 month size, I used a total of 21 grams. I used 11 grams in white and about 10 grams in blue. Depending on the size that you make, you may need less or more. Okay, so this was today's tutorial. Stay tuned for the matching booties. I'll go ahead and show you that in the next tutorial. Thank you so much for watching.